Happy Friday, everybody. It's Brian Terrian from the Disability Digest and my trusted assistant Ace here to hang out with you and share some information that hopefully will help you get your benefits, keep your benefits, and maximize them fast. Um, the format for today is I've got a few housekeeping items that I'm going to go through, and I see some questions are already popping up in the flow, so then I'll go through those at the end. So if you're new here, welcome. Glad to have you here at the Disability Digest. We do these events as an effort to help cover some of the big picture ideas, and so that you have information that will help you, with your own personal needs as best we can in these environments. Um, and so subscribe if you like what we do, ring the bell, which should be right down there. And if you're not a member here at the Disability Digest yet, we invite you to join us. There's no charge. And the benefit of doing that is it gives you a customized approach to your situation to help you get your benefits, keep them, or maximize them. So going to cover a few items. Keep the questions coming. And I think it's great. Like Bobby, I see you put in where you're from. That's awesome. And others, James, welcome. I am participating from Charlotte, Vermont today. So, yeah. Okay. A few things I want to go through. First of all, if you happen to scroll through some of the questions that are on our YouTube channel, you'll see kind of a smattering of SSI or SSDI, and it's confusing for us. I know it's confusing for others to understand actually what benefits people are on because sometimes they're on SSDI, which is Social Security Disability, and they reference it as SSI. So, one, it's really good to know what you're on for benefits, and two, to communicate it that way because it's definitely going to impact the questions that you or the answers that you get. So, here's the short story. Social Security disability is based on your work history. As a general rule, if you've worked and paid your taxes over the last 5 out of the last 10 years, then you would qualify for a disability check. Now, if you're somebody like this guy who has not worked at all, has no job, hasn't paid any taxes, then, and you become disabled, then your resources that you have access to are SSI, which is welfare or social insurance. It's got a variety of different names. And to access that, it's a need based program. It's based on the assets that you possess. If you have any income, you can have a house and a car, but if you have like a 401k and other things, it would eliminate that. So if somebody asks questions like, I'm on SSI, how much can I make? That's far different than somebody that's on SSDI. And so if you look at your deposit that you get from Social Security, as a general rule, if you're getting a monthly payment of more than $900, you're on Social Security disability, right? And it should say clearly on your deposit, SSDI, Social Security disability. So know your benefits. That's one. Second is with all of the questions that we've had about the continuing disability reviews, I am delighted that we have the answers and we have released one of the tips out of the 10 that was put out on our YouTube channel with an interview with industry icon James Brown. So if you haven't listened to that and you're on disability benefits or approved or anything, make sure you stay tuned into that. Now, just a quick update from that video. We will be rolling out the full 58-minute interview, and that will be, excuse me one folks, I gotta let Ace out. There you go, boss. That interview will be available to members of the Disability Digest, and we will send it out in order of priority. Now, this might be like, why are you doing this? And I kind of get it. I don't like to do things that way. But the interview comes with some support, some legal support, where we have put together individuals that will actually help those that have lost their benefits. Like we've got 22 in queue right now that have had their benefits just stopped. So we've been blessed, one, to provide the interview, two, to provide potential legal assistance. Now you have to pay for it unless you're in our benefit protection program. And if you don't know what that is, look around on this channel or ask us. There's no charge if you're enrolled in our benefit protection program for help if you have a continuing disability review. So that's the plan. Put some tips out here on YouTube. Full interview will be available to those that are approved for disability and are members. If you joined us and then you got approved while after you joined us, make sure you update your membership so that we know. Okay, last item before I take some questions I want to go over is from Jenny, and this was a YouTube question in our comments. Thank you for the educational videos. I have these conditions. I earn this much. I'm going to kind of cut to the chase here. She is an SSI recipient. Remember what that is, folks? It's a need-based program. And she has found out that her name is on the list for an asset. Once somebody passes in her family, she would inherit it. She doesn't possess it now, but it's about $34,000. Okay. We had another situation like this where there was a gentleman that was on SSI. He was in California. Family passed, and he got left with significant inheritance. And it took him off of his SSI benefits, his Medicaid benefits. Now, in this situation, just having it in writing is one thing. I don't view that to be a tangible asset. If the actual transaction was completed and there's monies in your bank and you possess that, then that would be a different situation. And then you would have to deal with that. You'd have to either spend it down, or I don't know how old you are, Jenny, but maybe a stable account is something that you could look into. And that's been, we've covered that in this channel, where you can have assets go into an account that don't impact your Medicaid eligibility. Really cool feature. And you can have up to $100,000 in it. So that's something that you can check out. Okay, let's see what we have for questions. One of the first ones I saw was there was a reconsideration question from Bobby. How long is the reconsideration process? Okay, your first denial. Sorry you were denied. Um, so let's talk about that. Right now, of course, it was really difficult to predict the time frames. Uh, but I would say, as a general rule, it's going to be in the 5 to 6 month range, is what the reconsideration time process is. And a few things on that is that d- the opportunity to get approved at reconsideration is like the lowest approval level. If on a national average, it's 32% across the board. Um, and at the reconsideration level, it's 11.7%. So you have to go through it, unfortunately, but do the best you can. If there's additional evidence that you can provide, um, if you're working with a disability representative, attorney or non-attorney, ask them if they'll write a legal brief. Update your medical records, write a brief explaining why you're disabled. That stuff will help. Doctor support. Always good to get your doctor's support in writing. If you don't have all of your doctors in the initial application, maybe you have 5 doctors total, but you only had 4 letters of support in your application in your initial, but you can get that 5th. That's other additional evidence that you can have them put in there. Uh, the word reconsider is what you really want to keep in mind, is reconsider my situation. I'm disabled and here's the evidence, right? Okay, if you're just joining us, you can keep the questions coming in, type them in. I'll do the best I can to answer them. I've been stumped in some of the recent ones, which is totally fine. I don't know everything. So I have a lot of experts that contribute to this. Um, Okay, here's one from Cynthia. I was told the first year you work, you can make as much as you want. It decreases after that. I think you got some bad information, Cynthia. Um, I'm going to presume that you are approved for disability. If you're approved for disability, there's like rules in writing that have been published on this channel, and here's what they are. If you're approved, you can earn up to $970 a month. Any month that you go over the $970, you trigger what's called a trial work month, and you get 9 of those. Okay, let's do that. 9. Once you go over the 9, then you get into a situation where you're going to be migrating off of benefits. So when people ask me how much money they can make and keep their benefits, I tell them it's stay under the 970, because like ideally like 900 or 850, so you're not like pushing that threshold. Now there's information out there that shows that you can earn up to 1,350. Well, you can, but you only can do that for 9 months. So make sure you understand the rules. If you search how much can you make on our YouTube channel, or if you're a member, email us at support at, and we'll send you the real deal. When you get information, I just encourage people, you can ask the question to whoever you want. Obviously, I can't stop you from doing that. But if they give you an answer, say, do you have the regulation? Do you have it in writing? Gets a lot of people in trouble. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have. Good question. Thank you. Oh, my date last insured is in June of 2022, coming up. I'm considering attempting to work again. If I fail again, how long do I need to work to extend my date of last insured, opposed to it being altogether? Whew, a lot of variables on that, but I'll use an example, and you'll need to get your own information. But if your date last insured is in June, which means in July you go from having 40 credits to 39, right? Because you need 40 credits, then you would need to work 1 quarter and earn over $1,560. I believe that's what it is, um, to obtain a credit. One work credit, you can earn 1 work credit in 1 quarter. So you would need to do that. Uh, so that's what you have to really figure out. I don't I don't believe if you expire in June that you're going to drop from 40 credits to like 35. I don't know. You'd need to figure that out, um, and do that. It's a risky thing. Ideally, ultimately, you want to win your case, um, and not have to worry about that, and then go back and start working part time until you're comfortable, and then ramp it and go into full time work. That's what I see has been best. Um, yep. Oh, cute cat. You want him? Send him over to you. Thank you. Um, Protective filing date. Um, Not quite sure. It says, can you talk about protective filing date? Not exactly sure what you want me to talk about. If you've got a little bit more on that, that would be helpful, but I'll take a shot at it. When you submit your disability application, um, the day that you submit your disability application is the day that Social Security says that you have stopped working. Um, and it's also called the wage freeze, is I believe what you're referencing. Um, so let's look at it this way. I'll go to the extreme. Let's say somebody is stopped work 2 years ago. They haven't applied, right? And 1 year goes by, zero earnings. 2 years goes by, zero earnings. And those annual earnings are averaged into your Social Security disability check amount. So what happens? Your check starts going down. But if that individual, when they are out of work, had filed like right away, when they went out of work, then the date that they filed it stops that earnings record. So those 2 years of zeros would have been eliminated. Um, so that's part of the strategy. There's a lesson or video coming out next week about when is the best time to file and have the best shot of getting approved. Um, and that's not really on the protective filing topic, but you might find that interesting. So you don't want to wait too long. That's the point. And you don't want to file too early. That's the other point. So check that video out. It's out Monday. Um, Wait, what was that called again? I don't know what you mean there. Juliana. Oh, hi, Juliana. Um, okay, here's a question about CDRs. If you try to work, does the CDR come up if you stay under 900? Don't know. Here's what I can share with you. The information that I've seen and looked at is that pretty much everybody is open to have a review. We've had individuals that have reported being reviewed at 64 and their full retirement age was 65. And you can read that. It's on our YouTube comments. I keep pointing over there because I have the YouTube comments up on another monitor. So I just say everybody be prepared. But if you're working and earning money, does it trigger it? I don't know. I mean, there's usually anywhere from 60 to 80% of the workers that we have here at the Disability Digest are members that have gone through and gotten approved, and they come back and apply for positions. And since we have been doing this work, we've had individuals earn in the 900 range consistently for years. And we've only had two people reviewed, which is kind of odd. But I really don't know if they've got some type of system that's going to say, okay, because they can see your earnings record. If this person is doing that, I don't know that. But point is, even if they do trigger it, if you're following the directions and you're earning a limited amount of money, which that really is, who can survive an $800 or $900 a month? It's nowhere near a full time income. You'd be totally fine. So, I am, as you can maybe tell, I am a huge proponent of people supplementing their disability income. All right, William from Kentucky, welcome, welcome. Again, if you do online college, could that cause a CDR? Now, okay, online college, if you're taking a full course load, that's going to be pretty obvious that it's going to require more than 20 hours a week of your time, I expect, unless I had some years in college when I had a full course and I didn't do 20 hours a week, but I didn't do so well. Anyway, yeah, so if you're taking a few courses and you're doing it at a gradual pace and you're not over 20 hours, then that's well within the guidelines. Yep. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, 20 years after injury, I did have all my credits. I am now back to work. Can I add to my work credits? Will it help me get more money? That question is a little fuzzy to me. Let me address it this way. Um, Work credits are, you can earn one per quarter. There's no shortcut. It's like money over time. But you can increase your check amount. Like somebody that earns $50,000 a year and pays taxes on it is going to have a check that's going to be different than somebody that earns $75,000 a year and has taxes paying on it. So it, that's one factor, but also that over time, like how long, if that if both those workers were consistent at that income level, then one would have a higher check. So um, the way to increase your check and get more money, earn more, pay more taxes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Do you still supply the company that had a list of jobs available for people, preferably part time? Yes, we do. And that is, we have a video tutorial with an employment network called NTI at Home. So just contact us. If you're a member, contact support. We'll get that back to you. Or I don't know if you search this. I don't know if you search the YouTube channel if it'll come up under that. I don't remember exactly what the title is. Um, all right. Okay, my doctor has not released me to go to work. My caseworker is pushing me to find a job at home. Hmm. I've been on SSDI for 20 years. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the question is there, but this is my comment. When it comes to doctors and caseworkers, do they really know you? I mean, when you go to a doctor and you go in for your 7 to 10 minute visit, do they really know if you can work or not? I don't think so. Most say no, they don't. They don't know what it's like to, be around me like seven, 7 days a week. So ultimately, whether somebody is pushing you or pulling you or doing what you're doing, you need to advocate for yourself. That's my point. And if you don't think you can work, that's it. And if you do, great. If you're in the middle, give it a shot, right? There's opportunities that even if you're filing for disability and you're like, you know what? I don't know, man. Maybe I can work. So this is just me and the individuals that we work with. I say go give it a try. Because if you try and you can work for 30 days or 45 days and then boom, the wheels fall off the bus, you can use that as evidence to put in your case. Say, listen, I tried to work again, couldn't do it. Right. If it goes over, I think if it goes over 6 months, then that's, then you're off and running, and you really need to start a new application after that point. Okay. I'm trying to get approved on my own, and I just transferred to Colorado from Florida. So it seems I'm totally starting over again. No, you don't need to. Um, any lawyers in Grand Junction you can recommend, or I can get one, or is it too late? Um, we don't need a lawyer. Here at the Disability Digest, I don't know if you remember here, but we have a disability approval course. You can do it all on your own. Totally fine with us. You come in, you join, an advocate talks about our strategy, which is you can do it on your own. If you want somebody to do it, attorney, um, we can help you explore both options. But if you feel confident that you can take a shot and do it right and follow all the steps that are necessary, then consider using the course. It could save you thousands in legal fees, right? Um, so that's my take on that. At least evaluate both options, and so that you know. Okay. Okay. Let's see. William, you are welcome. Um, let's see. An employer can make contributions to a stable account for qualified expenses. Does SSDI have limits on contributions amount? I don't know. That's a good question for the folks at Stable Account. That when I've called over there, they picked up the phone in like the second or third ring. So it's not like you're calling Social Security. You can get your answers pretty quick there. Um, yes. Okay. Here's a good point from Kathy. She says you should always report work that you do, and that is true. The one thing that you want to do is be straight up with Social Security. I have a 2 point on this one, and so just call them and say, listen, I'm going to be doing some work, and they're going to ask you, well, what are you going to be doing? How much you going to be making? Say, oh, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing something on your own and you're just starting a business or doing something independently and you really don't know, just say, I'm going to try to make $100 and $200. I don't know. I can check back with you. I'm definitely going to file my taxes, all that stuff. Um, and that should satisfy it for sure. So um, I do want to pivot on one point that I have said recently. I've been educated otherwise. For those of you that have had your continuing disability reviews, either you filled out the short form or you filled out the long form, and you've sent it back in and you haven't heard anything. People have asked, like, it's been months, I don't know what's going on. And in general, when you're going through the disability approval process, my position definitely is to stay on top of it, be proactive. Do you need anything else? Did you get this? But in this situation, what I learned from industry expert Jim Brown: don't call. No news is good news, because he's had situations where people have called in and they're like, oh, yeah, it's right on the desk. We forgot to get back to you. You've been denied. So just leave it. That's what I learned from him. Okay. Um, okay, yeah, Maureen, you can transfer your application for sure. And so you don't lose any traction, you don't start over. Here's a point too. Starting over is expensive. And the reason for that is it's basically like you got denied. I'll give you an example. Somebody goes through and they applied 9 months ago. They just received their first decision and they got denied. Happens commonly. People are like, they don't read it. They don't know they can appeal. Maybe that's part of their limitations and disabilities. So they let it sit for a few months, or they miss the deadline to appeal. Then they have to start over again. Well, what happens is the time that you start that second application is you're starting, let's say you started 3 months from now. You're starting from that period going forward. You cannot include any of the prior months that you had an application that was open, um, even though you didn't follow up, because Social Security says you applied, you were denied. You had your opportunity to argue during that, that you were disabled during that period. So make sure that you follow through. You got to stay in the game. All right. Okay. I've got time for a couple more here. C3T1 neck fusion in June. Got my disability in January. Congratulations. Said they were reviewing me in 12 months. You must be young, if you don't mind sharing your age. Just got my CDR this week. Okay, well, that's pretty quick. Um, and yeah, so you were reviewed in 18 months. Some people are 18 months, some are even a year. Um, but commonly, it's 5 to 7 years. What happens to disability insurance when you go to full Medicare at age 65? Nothing. Here's what happens. Uh, I'll back up a little bit. There's three ways to receive your disability or your Social Security benefits. One is when you reach full retirement age. That's the obvious one that most people know about. It's 65, 6, 7, whatever it is, depending on your birth year. Right. And the other option, the next option, is when you reach age 62. Okay. Take it early, take a hit. It's like 40% less. Third option is if you become disabled and you can't work and you've paid your taxes and you've got enough in the Social Security account, then you can collect your Social Security disability. Now, your Social Security disability amount is usually within a few percentage points, if not exactly the same amount as your full retirement. So, what happens is when let's say you get approved at age 55. When you turn 65, your check amount's going to be the same, except it'll increase with the COLA, cost of living increase, and your Medicare will be the same. The only thing that will change is your status will change from a disability recipient to one that is of full retirement age. So there's nothing that is required. It's just they've got this figured out. Now, the other thing is when you reach 65, you're out of the how much you can work and keep your benefits, because you're into the full retirement age, and so that income earning criteria is different. It's more favorable for you. It's another thing to consider. All right. All right, Mike, I was kind of curious on your age. I don't know if I lost you there because you were reviewed early. My hunch is you're maybe in your 30s or early 40s. Okay, I have a herniated and bulging discs in my neck and back. I've been denied then again at reconsideration. I've been scheduled for a hearing May 4th. Is phone hearing a good option? Well, right now it's the only one. very few in person. I don't expect it to change. Um, this is my take on it from the people that I have, you know, talked with and others in the industry. The phone hearings work fine. The key is just have a good case, do your work, follow the steps that we provide, because it is evidence based, this whole process. And what I mean by evidence based is it's what's in your medical records. it, there is some value to seeing somebody walk and sit and stand, all that stuff, but you could go into a hearing room and have limitations, but if they're not in your medical records, how is the judge going to connect them, right? So the phone hearings have worked fine. I believe that they will go back into an offer an in person, but my understanding of what an in person hearing will be the judge will be in the hearing room, and maybe even in another room looking at you through a monitor, or in the room behind some type of protective device, because there's not many judges, they're older, so they're prone to viruses, they don't want to get them sick, and they don't want to get sick. So phone hearings going to be around for a while. They were talking about doing something like this, but you know, see if they can pull that off. Okay. How often do I need to go to the doctor? Oh, good question. Presuming that you're approved. Um, but even if you're not, the same concept still applies. The premise of your disability benefits is that you have conditions, they're being treated by a doctor, and you have limitations from those that prevent you from working. So if your doctor has a treatment regime for you to go see your primary care, like, you know, once a year, and then go to PT monthly, and then go see somebody for counseling for your mental illness, and you're following that, then you're good. It's where you have a problem is if people get their disability benefits approved, and they marry their remote control and sit on the couch, and they don't go to the doctors, and that's where you have a problem. So make sure you follow your treatment regime. Um, is the number or the frequency that you should have. Okay, here's one from Happy Ron. Just had a phone hearing last week, was terrified, but fully prepared, and the lawyer is very confident. Judge said that I could have an in person hearing if I wanted. Decent. All right. Thanks for sharing that. All right. I work at DoorDash about 10 hours per week. Whoops, lost that question. I got to go back and get it. About in regards to the SGA. Okay, well, 10 hours a week from an hour. If you work in DoorDash 10 hours a week, you're under the hourly amount. And if you're earning under the 970 that I talked about, then you're under, I don't think, if you're doing 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month, and you're over 970, you're killing it with DoorDash. So I presume you're doing fine within the limits. Okay. Fibromyalgia, arthritis, da da da, second denial, so on and so forth. Um, you know, I want to just give everybody a heads up on this, or kind of a reminder. Um, when when people express themselves in their why they can't work or what's going on with them, they talk about their conditions, like this individual. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm just trying to give you tips to get your benefits and keep them. Uh, but the conditions are unfortunate. But with any condition, for the most part, somebody that has fibromyalgia or lupus, or somebody that has MS, or somebody that has a degenerative disc disease, it's not that condition. It's the severity of the condition, and really how that's um, noted in your medical records. But most importantly, it's the limitations from those. conditions. So I encourage everybody out there in Disability Digest land is to get your commercial down, get your 2 sentence explanation so that when you're going through the process of approval or you're going into your doctor's appointments, or God forbid you get a CDR, you know how to explain in 2 sentences or less why you can't work. I'm not able to sit for 15 minutes. I'm not able to stand for 10 minutes. I can't climb more than 4 steps of stairs. I have challenges with arthritis in my shoulders, and I'm not able to lift more than 8 pounds. I know I can't lift a gallon of milk. It's really hard. So things like that, when you talk that way, it's like, this person can't work, right? So think about that. 2 sentences or less, stay on track. What are your limitations? And these are the limitations, by the way, when you go to your doctor, you should be writing down, bringing them in, handing them to your doctor, even if they're the same ones every month, and making sure that the doctor enters those into your notes. Okay. Folks, I'm out of time for today's show. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. And listen, I know there's a lot of other things you could have done with your time today. So I'm honored that you've come out here and listen to Ace and I hang out, and I hope this has been of some value to you. Again, if you're new here, we invite you to like and subscribe or join us as a member. And we have a lot of new information that's coming out, and then next week and the week after, more about the CDRs and other information that will help you get approved. So stay tuned. Thanks again for spending some time with me. Make it a great day. Thanks.